Have you ever found yourself gazing at the night sky, wondering what truly dwells beyond the stars? What if the answers to your most profound questions, the mysteries of heaven, the origin of spiritual warfare, and the secrets that predate humanity's very first breath have long been hidden, locked away in ancient pages never meant for ordinary eyes? Tonight, you are invited to embark on a journey unlike any other, a passage through the forbidden gates of revelation and judgment, guided by the voice of Enoch, the man who walked so closely with God that he was taken beyond the reach of mortal existence. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to Bible Stories, and comment 777 below if you have ever wondered about the mysteries that lie beyond this world, the fierce battles raging in spiritual realms, or the truth about what happened before humans ever drew breath. Your voice and your insight are woven into the legacy of a chosen generation, a generation yearning for answers beyond the surface, seeking truth at its deepest roots. This journey is not just ours, it is yours too. In the silence of eternity, Enoch's name was called, a voice, gentle as the rain and mighty as thunder, summoned him before the courts of heaven. Imagine for a moment feeling what he felt, knees trembling, heart racing, wondering why you, a fragile mortal, have been chosen as the messenger of forbidden wonders, to be the scribe of visions never meant for human eyes. Enoch stood as the seventh son from Adam, both humble and astonishingly favored. His story, echoed through Scripture, is not merely about walking with God, but about stepping into the unknown, carrying burdens of wisdom, and preparing the hearts of those yet to be born. Through realms unseen, Enoch was guided by Uriel, the archangel and guardian of divine mysteries. "Come with me," said the luminous messenger, "and witness the secrets of the heavens and the corruption of the earth." Imagine the air splitting open, the blazing light illuminating not just creation, but every sorrow and every hope. Enoch's journey was no gentle stroll. It was a descent into revelation, where every truth pressed harder than the last, every secret promising heartbreak or awe. And yet, what would you do if you were chosen for such a destiny? Would you surrender your comfort to bear knowledge that would separate you from the world, even make you a target of scorn and fear? Enoch accepted this burden, praying for strength as whispering choirs, invisible but real, urged him forward. Through these gates, swung wide, the universe's secrets spilled out, visions of angelic rebellion, fallen watchers, judgments powerful enough to rattle creation to its core. Why was Enoch's account banned, his text buried so deeply? What truth was so dangerous that it threatened the pillars of faith? Could his revelations about heavenly realms and spiritual warfare still hold answers for us today? Might the knowledge he recorded shed light on forces that shape reality, pulling hidden strings in the shadows? As we step into this tale, ask yourself, are you ready to see beyond the veil and into mysteries that could change everything you believe about the world and about yourself? Let's journey deeper into the forbidden knowledge of Enoch. Each revelation will test your courage, challenge your beliefs, and draw you into the heart of divine reckoning. Comment to 777 below if you are prepared to confront truths long kept from mankind. Your engagement is a light in the darkness, a sign that our search for understanding is shared. Enoch opens the Book of Watchers with words heavy as prophecy. Write so that future generations may know the truth and prepare for what is to come. These blessings and warnings were not gentle comforts. They were anchors meant to strengthen hearts once chaos swept over the world. A time would arrive when the earth would groan under God's reckoning. Tribulations would shatter empires, and only the pure-hearted would remain. Can you imagine such an age? To see corruption torn away, to witness the Holy One descend upon Mount Zion in glory, flanked by 10,000 times 10,000 shining saints. With judgment burning in every breath, no secret remains hidden, no act of defiance unseen. Enoch's prophecy, echoed centuries later in Jude's writings, calls forth images where all humanity stands exposed beneath searching eyes. When this day dawns, which side will you find yourself on? The righteous clothed in life everlasting, or the wicked, their memories scattered like ashes in the storm? Through Enoch's eyes the righteous rise, their feet guided by the Lord into paths of justice, dwelling forever in the light of eternal peace. Every sunrise becomes a sermon, every star a verse, written for those who see the hand of God in nature's harmony. The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of His hands. Psalm 19 serves as testament that the universe itself is a tapestry of obedience, never deviating from its Creator's decree. How sobering that mankind, made in God's image, and even the angels meant to guard them, strayed so grievously from these paths. The tragedy is woven deep. The Watchers, mighty angels sent to guide humanity, descended from heaven, disregarding their charge and leading mortals into ruin. They corrupted not only human hearts, but creation itself. The marrying of heavenly and mortal flesh produced monstrous offspring, the Nephilim, whose hunger and violence consumed the world. All creation groaned, lifting its lament to heaven, pleading for mercy and justice. In response, the Almighty's sentence thundered across the ages, the wicked swept away. Judgment fierce and unrelenting, yet mercy enduring until every shadow was consumed by light. Enoch saw that only those who walked in righteousness would inherit peace, a crown never to tarnish. Jeremiah's words resonate. "Do you not fear me, declares the Lord? Will you not tremble before me?" The sand, boundary for the sea, remains unbroken. Yet mankind shattered the boundaries within their hearts. Can you picture standing beside Enoch as he delivered such dire messages to the fallen angels themselves, the Watchers, sent to confront beings forged of divine light, now cloaked in shame? Their terror was palpable, their pleas for forgiveness met with silence. Enoch's role as mediator was heavy. He carried not intercession, but the final sentence. No pardon for rebellion, no peace for the giants or their corrupted spirit. And so, the saga deepens as Enoch is led through realms of creation, witnessing the architecture of both judgment and mercy. He's shown the prison of the Watchers, a place of endless fire, shadowed abyss, a testament to the unwavering justice of God. Even the spirits of the Nephilim, ancient terrors, are doomed to wander the earth as evil spirits, echoing into the corners of our world. Knowledge hidden, now unveiled, serves not only as a warning, but as a promise. Righteousness shall stand. Evil will not remain unanswered. The record of these visions, inscribed for generations yet unborn, is both trumpet blast and gentle assurance. It invites every listener to consider, when the moment of judgment comes, among whom will you be found? In the fields of light, among the faithful trees, or in the shadows where trust was broken? The seeds of rebellion sown in ages past continue to bear fruit even now. Let the heartbeat of Enoch's witness guide your own search for truth. It is the journey of every soul seeking the face of the Most High. As we close this section, remember, the road to understanding begins with a single step. Like and subscribe to Bible Stories to join this search for truth. Your openness to these mysteries is the dawn of wisdom, and your voice in the comments, especially those marked 777, is the sign that our journey is shared. The story has only begun. Are you ready to walk deeper into the revelation that has shocked and shaped the world for centuries? The secrets of Enoch, secrets too powerful for the ages, await your witness. In the shadowed days before even Noah's flood, Earth itself shuddered under the weight of rebellion. Imagine the blossoming villages, daughters born with innocent laughter, the gradual rise of settlements echoing with mortal joy. But above them, high in heavens unseen, the Watchers gazed down. These were angels whose hearts, once steadfast as the pillars of creation, grew restless. Desire, like poison, crept into their immortal ranks, an ache to cross boundaries never meant for their kind. Can you see these radiant beings charged with holy stewardship, longing with hunger that eternity could not quell? The Book of Enoch unveils the fateful conspiracy. Let us choose wives from among the daughters of men and bear children with them, whispered the watchers, their voices swirling across the star-lit firmament. Samjaza, their chief, hesitated, fearing shame if left alone in such defiance. Yet the others stood resolute. By a solemn curse, an oath that even the foundations of the earth shuddered to hear, these 200 angels bound themselves together. They descended to Mount Hermon, their rebellion sealed, a monument forever marking creation's deepest wound. To their chosen wives, the watchers brought neither tenderness nor blessing, but forbidden knowledge. They mingled heavenly essence with mortal flesh, teaching enchantments, ancient sorceries, secrets of root and herb meant to bend creation, not nurture it. Soon, the daughters conceived monstrous offspring, the Nephilim, giants whose heights reached towering limits. They devoured harvests, flocks, and ultimately hunted the very people whose mothers had borne them. The terror escalated as human fields and hopes were consumed. When hunger overcame the land, these giants turned on mankind itself. Violence multiplied, every boundary of creation twisted and torn. Worse still, the Watchers taught humanity the arcane sciences, the forging of blades and shields, the vanity of adornment, the seductive allure of colored dyes, and the pride of ornamentation. Knowledge meant for guardianship sprouted as instruments of war, vanity, and unrighteousness. Men stumbled in delusions spun by sorcery, abandoning every righteous path. The Watcher's grim instruction was joined by more. Archangel revealed the signs of the stars. Samjaza taught enchantments and the cutting of roots. Amaros divulged how to break spells. Shamsiel traced the sun's course. The earth, now choked with iniquity and blood, cried out in anguish. Its suffering reached the very gates of heaven. Among those high courts, archangels, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel, witnessed the world's devastation. Humanity's agony, the violence of Nephilim, and the corruption of creation were more than they could bear. They approached the throne of the Most High, seeking an answer, pleading for justice. Lord of lords, King of kings, your throne endures forever. Have you not seen the corruption unleashed? Moved by sorrow, the Almighty pronounced judgment. Uriel was sent to warn Noah of the approaching flood, a deluge to cleanse the earth. Raphael was tasked to bind Azazel, imprisoning him in utter darkness. Gabriel went forth to set the Nephilim against each other in war, so that their own violence would annihilate them. Michael, mightiest among the archangels, was charged to bind the rebellious watchers deep within the earth, reserving them for 70 generations until the end. Yet even in divine wrath, mercy lingers. The Most High swears that righteousness will be restored, a world where fields yield fruit, where every life basks in peace, evil uprooted and erased. How moving that even now the longing for such redemption resonates. Speak of righteousness and walk in its light, implores Enoch, the scribe of justice and judgment. Can you hear the echo, the yearning for restoration in your own heart? Amidst this unfolding drama, angels led Enoch to the foot of the fallen. Go and confront the watchers, commanded the hosts. Speak to those who forsook heaven for desire. Picture Enoch, trembling yet resolute, standing before beings once clothed in celestial majesty, now cloaked in shame. Their anguish was palpable. Their fear of eternal condemnation made them plead, "Intercede for us. Petition the Almighty on our behalf." Moved by their desperation, Enoch agreed. he carefully inscribed their pain and plea onto a scroll, ascending to the heavenly courts to present their petition, a fragile hope for forgiveness. But there was to be no reversal. The Most High, wrapped in unspeakable splendor, thundered an irrevocable decree. You watchers were holy, designed for my courts, eternal and glorious. But you chose to defile yourself with flesh, teaching mankind mysteries meant only for heaven. Now corruption floods the earth, echoing Isaiah's sorrow. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star.
The Almighty declares eternal separation.
No pardon for transgressors, no hope for their tainted offspring. The giants would perish, their spirits doomed to wander the earth as dark and restless beings. Enoch's task was complete. He delivered the verdict. No peace, no intercession, just justice. The weight of these revelations pressed upon him. Returning to the watchers, their hope shattered, they bore their judgment in agony. Could you imagine seeing celestial beings, once guardians of humanity, now bowed low by sorrow, trembling before mortal eyes? From this vantage, Enoch's vision widens. He's shown the prison for the rebellious angels, a cavern of endless fire, a shadowed abyss where justice burns pure and unyielding. If even ancient powers could not escape, what hope is there for mortals who scorn divine law? This truth still chills the soul, inviting self-examination amid hope's fragile promise. The spirits birthed by mingling heaven and earth, the Nephilim, are annihilated. Their flesh is destroyed, but their spirits remain restless and malevolent. The curse persists, echoing into Scripture and beyond, suggesting a route for tormenting spirits Jesus would confront in the Gospels.
Can such ancient rebellion really touch us still?
Might the sorrows of history hold lessons for today's unseen battles, the spiritual warfare beneath our world's surface? The Almighty's commands are fierce and final. The offspring of the Watchers are wiped away, but their spirit legacy lingers. Enoch must record every vision, every consequence, so future generations comprehend the price of broken trust, the chain of corruption stretching through time. His role as mediator is complete, yet the burden of knowledge weighs upon his spirit. Faithfully, he writes all he has seen and heard, turning celestial wisdom into a warning and invitation alike, a testament that no evil escapes divine reckoning, that justice stands firm across the ages. Pause now. The lessons here are not merely of angels and giants, but of boundaries. What happens when we cross the lines drawn at creation's dawn? What hope remains for those who, knowingly or not, participate in cycles of rebellion? Enoch's story warns, yet it also extends mercy, urging us toward light, toward a heart made humble before mysteries too vast to master. As you reflect on these visions, remember that every search for truth is a shared journey. Feel free to like and subscribe to Bible Stories and let your thoughts and questions guide others toward understanding. Whether by curiosity or conviction, each comment strengthens the chain that links us to generations who wandered before us and to those yet to come. The Book of Enoch is not an answer. It is an invitation to contemplate, to wrestle, and to hope. Its forbidden pages reveal a world shaped not only by rebellion, but by the promise that righteousness will rise again.
As our journey continues,
let the story draw you deeper, embolden your spirit, and awaken your longing for the day when harmony is restored and every soul finds its place in the tapestry of God's eternal design. Within the turbulent aftermath of the Watchers' rebellion and humanity's descent into darkness, the echoes of heartbreak, regret, and impending judgment reverberated across earth and heaven. Enoch's journey as a messenger carried him to perhaps the most profound intersection of despair and hope. The pleading of the fallen angels for forgiveness, and the divine justice that would ultimately mark the boundaries of mercy and consequence. Picture Enoch, summoned from among mortals by the seraphic hosts, stepping into the desolate place where the Watchers, once glorious, now cloaked in guilt, await his words. Their pride and rebellion had cost them everything. Access to heaven's courts was lost, and shame forced them to avert their eyes from God's light. Fear and trembling seized these mighty beings as Enoch recited the impending sentence: eternal separation, agony, not just for themselves, but for their offspring, the Nephilim giants whose existence cursed the land with violence and chaos. The Watchers, desperate for reprieve, entreated Enoch to intercede, to draw up a petition for forgiveness and present their request before the throne of the Most High. Imagine the irony. Angels who were once mediators for mankind now sought a human to plead on their behalf. With trembling hands,
Enoch inscribed their lamentations, their prayers, regrets,
and longing for mercy, and carried them into his solitude by the waters of Dan. There, in sleep, he encountered God's response,
not as a message of hope,
but as an extension of judgment. God, in unsparing clarity,
denied their petition. There would be no reconciliation,
no restoration of light or peace for the fallen. Enoch was commanded to return and deliver the verdict: separation from divine fellowship, exile below the earth, an eternity sealed in torment and darkness. No longer will you intercede for men, nor be restored to the heights from which you fell, thundered God's voice. Even as Enoch gazed into the fire-lit vision of heaven, he received the solemn commission to bear a message challenging the Watchers for abdicating their responsibilities. Where once it was the angels' place to intercede for humankind, now a mortal stepped into the role untimely, foreshadowing a coming day when people themselves would commune directly with God. The punishment unfolded in brutal detail. Raphael was sent to bind Azazel, casting him into darkness and jagged rock within the desert of Dudael, until the final judgment, his face concealed from all light. Surrounded by creatures symbolic of plague and desolation, Michael was to bind Semyaza and his associates deep within the valleys of the earth for 70 generations, until eternal judgment. Gabriel fought against the illegitimate offspring of the Watchers, setting them against one another in destructive battle until their destruction was complete. The spirits of the Nephilim, forever restless, would wander the earth as evil spirits, sowing corruption and oppression until the end of all things. The reverberations of these punishments are monumental. The separation between spiritual and earthly creation, once intended as an unbroken order, is restored by the destruction of the Nephilim and the confinement of rebellious angels. The flood, unleashed in response to the curse upon the world, wiped clean the consequences of the forbidden union, while the promise of new boundaries and a sign in the heavens, echoing the rainbow, marked divine covenant and restraint. Yet justice is not delivered in rage alone. God pauses, reflecting on the devastation and vowing a new pledge of mercy. No longer will creation be destroyed in its entirety. Instead, the suffering becomes a warning, a signpost pointing toward the accountability required of all who wield power, spirit or flesh. As Enoch contemplates the grandeur and severity of judgment, he is led into the cosmic throne room, the great house in the heavens, radiant and overwhelming. There, God's sovereignty is displayed. He needs no counsel. His wisdom is complete. The fallen Watchers, once appointed to guide and protect, now plead for Enoch's mediation, demonstrating the paradox of rebellion. Those who once held access now seek mercy from the very humanity they corrupted. In visions that burn the soul, Enoch glimpses the furnace where the condemned are hurled, the chains of immeasurable weight prepared for the hosts of Azazel, and the waters that join in flood to erase the wicked from the earth. The sovereignty exercised here is not arbitrary. It is rooted in the conviction that justice and restoration are linked. Wickedness will inevitably be swept away. The righteous will be planted forever, their peace assured. Through this,
a philosophy emerges. Divine justice is not recklessness. It is the resolve to restore order,
to draw lines that should not be crossed, even while holding open the hope of redemption. The fallen, once mediators, now see humans rising to that vocation, a profound reversal, hinting that the spiritual and earthly are distinct, yet destined to intertwine in new and healing ways. The consequences of rebellion echo through every corridor of creation, even as the promise of restoration quietly persists. Let this chapter draw you into reflection, not only upon punishment and justice, but on the sobering truth that every act, every oath, and every crossing of boundary resonates through time. As Enoch's mediation closes, the burden shifts to every generation. Will we honor our roles as stewards, guardians, and seekers of mercy? Or will we repeat the cycles of arrogance and betrayal that marked even the heavens? Pause, consider, and let the story sit heavy, but let it also encourage hope. Truth is not simply the harshness of consequence, but the persistent invitation to seek righteousness. Feel free to like and subscribe to Bible Stories, share your thoughts, and remember that every search for wisdom draws us closer to the light that will one day heal every wound. Now, Enoch is raised by the hand of the divine to gaze upon some of the most profound mysteries of creation. The vision opens with Enoch being lifted to a high place, shown a world both wondrous and troubling, a landscape where the hills shrink, and a towering presence dominates the view. He is commanded to remain and witness all that unfolds, a silent observer to cosmic drama. Here, images and symbols start to shimmer. Animals met with judgment, stars bound and cast into dark abysses, the earth itself quaking under the weight of celestial conflict. In this domain, Enoch sees the first star to fall from heaven, seized and bound, cast into a pit that is narrow, deep, and dreadful. Amid the chaos, celestial beings wield swords, giving them to the great animals who, driven by dark force, turn against each other, shaking the very foundations of creation. Celestial justice does not remain passive. From the heavens, one of the great beings throws stones, gathering and binding other stars whose rebellion has led them away from their purpose. Each is sent into the abyss, a testimony to the relentless pursuit of justice, regardless of one's original place in the heavenly order. Within this vision, the Lord of the Sheep emerges majestic, terrible in glory, and the sheep, representing the people, tremble in his presence. Their fear is a recognition of overwhelming holiness and mystery, a sense that mortal eyes were never meant to behold the splendor and wrath of the Creator. The sheep who led them, symbolizing a chosen leader or prophet, ascends to the summit, carrying the burden of responsibility. Yet even with a guide, many sheep become blinded, straying from the path laid out. The leader, unaware at first, descends and finds the flock's faith shattered, the majority fallen away. When the sheep see their leader, their fear and longing to return to safety pierce the silence. Now the struggle between restoration and destruction begins. The leader, taking others with him, goes after the strayed sheep, and those blinded now face judgment. Some are restored.
Others fall under the sword.
The leader returns them to the fold, and once again, the narrative moves deeper. The leader sleeps, new sheep rise, and the cycle of leadership and loss continues. The sheep, longing for their guide, approach a stream and mourn, their grief echoing across the ages. Then, new leaders rise. 2 sheep now guide the flock, leading them to pastures of peace and contentment, a land of abundance. There, a house stands as a sanctuary, sheltering the flock in a place where sometimes eyes are opened, sometimes blinded, speaking to the intermittent clarity and confusion that shapes every spiritual journey. Another sheep rises up, leading the flock onward, and once more, excess and destruction come through the hands of shepherds, those meant to protect, yet failing in their charge. A divine command is issued. Every act of the shepherds is recorded, their destruction measured, their obedience weighed, not for their knowledge, but for the day of testimony and judgment. This record will be a witness against all who take authority not given, those who stray from divine command. Season after season, shepherds pastured the sheep, but their actions go beyond what was appointed, feeding the flock to lions and wild beasts. The tower, a symbol of sanctuary, is destroyed, another marker of the consequences when leadership loses its way. Against this heavy backdrop, sealed books are brought forth, opened before the Lord of the sheep. The judgment falls first on the fallen stars. They are condemned, cast into an abyss, blazing with fire and pillars of flame. Then the 70 shepherds, those granted authority over the flock, are judged. Their guilt leads to the same abyss, a reminder that even chosen leaders are subject to the same measure of justice. In one of the vision's most stirring moments, Enoch sees the great separation, the righteous and sinners divided into different realms. Souls assemble in hollow places, spirits of the righteous bathed in the brightness of living water, while sinners endure great pain awaiting final judgment. Those whose blood was shed, the spirits of the slain, cry out for justice, their voices rising until the seed of the unrighteous is annihilated from the earth. Enoch is shown the course of fire, the burning mountains, the valleys deep and dry, the ravines without planting, all reflecting the spiritual geography of consequence and judgment. In a blessed land filled with trees, Enoch marvels, questioning its purpose. His guide explains that the accursed valley is reserved for those who speak against the glory of the Most High, a gathering place for judgment, where in the last days, righteous justice will occur in the presence of all. These visions culminate in praise and awe for the Lord of glory. The righteous are promised beauty, peace, and security, never touched by torment or calamity. Enoch turns from the scenes of fire and destruction toward images of blessing, a landscape of blooming branches, rivers flowing from sacred mountains, sanctuaries prepared for the faithful. Yet the vision cycles back, division, accountability, cycles of leadership, restoration, and loss. The narrative presses gently but firmly, reminding each generation that divine boundaries cannot be crossed without consequence. The sheep dance between blindness and insight, between catastrophe and reconciliation, always within the reach of grace and judgment. Enoch's fourth vision is a tapestry of animal,
Angel, star, and soul, all woven into the drama of creation.
It's the story of stewardship and broken trust, of mercy and wrath, and ultimately of the enduring possibility for restoration. Pause here and ponder, what does it mean to lead? What is the true weight of authority? And how does one reconcile divine justice with the deepest hope for peace? Let these images settle into your spirit, inviting contemplation and awe. As you reflect, remember to engage. Let your thoughts bring new light to this ancient narrative. Like and subscribe to stay close to the ongoing journey. Each vision builds upon the last, inviting every heart to search for the gentle truth that lives even inside judgment, and the path that always leads, however winding, toward reconciliation and the promise of rest. The revelations continue as Enoch is moved to speak words of righteousness and admonition, blessed with the gift of understanding as the Great One bestows wisdom on mortal lips and hearts. This section unfolds as both a promise and a warning, a proclamation for the faithful and a lament for those who turn away from all that is holy. Enoch, empowered to rebuke the watchers and instruct the children of heaven, reveals that no petition for mercy will ever be granted to the rebellious. Their requests are denied for eternity, their fate sealed by divine decree. The sorrow of the watchers deepens as they are destined to witness the fall of their beloved offspring. The giants will perish violently, and not even the cries and prayers of their fathers can stay judgment or save them from destruction. For their trespasses are too great, their rebellion too deep, and heaven's order demands justice. Swept into visions by clouds and winds,
Enoch rises to behold the dazzling walls of heaven, built of crystal and radiant fire.
He looks upon terrifying places prepared as prisons, cleft as far as the abyss, columns of fire descending into the darkness. These dreadful chambers exist not only for angels, but as gathering places for the souls of men, separated according to righteousness, guilt, and transgression. Enoch witnesses hollow realms where the righteous enjoy streams of living water, the sinful suffer in pain, and the spirits of those wronged in life cry out until justice is done and evil's legacy is erased. The vision presented to him moves through the boundaries of time and eternity. Enoch discerns the distinct separation among souls. Some rest in light, some endure torment, and some are locked in judgment for crimes yet punished. Even the spirit of Abel, slain by his brother Cain, persists in pleading for justice until wickedness is utterly swept from the earth. Each suffering, each prayer, each hope finds a place in the divine order, woven together until all things reach their appointed time of judgment and renewal. Blessing flows from his lips as Enoch marvels at the beauty prepared for the righteous. Mountains crowned with trees, rivers coursing with life, sanctuaries bathed in purity. These lands of promise stand in stark contrast to the valleys of desolation reserved for those who curse God, who speak with pride and malice against his glory. Here, in the last days, righteous judgment will be revealed before all. The merciful giving thanks for the grace assigned to them, while the unrighteous endure the spectacle of their own downfall. Among the warnings, Enoch calls each soul to humility. He challenges the hard-hearted and those who speak in proud defiance against God's greatness, declaring that no peace awaits them. Their years will fade in calamity, destruction multiplied, and mercy withheld. Even words, arrogant spoken aloud, carry their own judgment, marking the speaker's days with grief. Pride results not in comfort but in misery, the soul's exile prolonged in sorrow and regret. Woe to those who devour the finest wheat, who drink deep of the earth's goodness while trampling the lowly. Those who oppress, who exploit, who lay heavy yokes upon the innocent,
have forgotten the source of life.
Their deeds echo long past their own days, remembered in memorial and testimony. The great flood may have washed away much evil, but the lesson lingers, oppression concealed, justice delayed, cries unanswered. All tarnish the legacy of the wicked. Yet even as lament and woe fill the air, Enoch turns again to comfort the faithful. He reassures them that suffering endured in righteousness is not in vain, nor is hardship wasted. Good days shall come to the righteous, he affirms, days of peace and restoration, where hope is finally fulfilled. For those who bow in humility, who turn their hearts to God despite pain and loss, the future holds promise beyond measure. No calamity shall touch them, and the gardens and sanctuaries of creation await their feet. As you reflect on Enoch's exhortations and warnings, consider, where is the source of true strength? Is it found in pride and power, or in humble faith reluctant to speak ill of heaven's glory? The testimony of every soul, every tree, every valley stands as a witness to the enduring reality that justice and mercy are never far apart, merely awaiting their appointed hour. Let this section draw you to contemplation. Like and subscribe to Bible Stories if the journey has shaped your mind or moved your heart, and let your insights bring life to others seeking wisdom in these ancient mysteries. Enoch's proclamation remains timeless, Blessed is the one who clings to righteousness, even in a world shadowed by pride and injustice. Peace, at last, is the inheritance of the humble, and hope flows forever from the fountain of life. As the final chapter of Enoch's journey unfolds, a deep and haunting tale reveals the origins of the giants who roamed the earth and the spiritual forces that forever changed the course of humanity. The story begins with the multiplication of mankind, the sons of men increasing across the land, and the birth of beautiful daughters. Yet, beauty and innocence became catalysts in a cosmic tragedy as the Watchers, those heavenly sentinels sworn to watch over the earth, succumbed to forbidden desire. These angels descended from their celestial heights, seduced by the allure of mortal women. Their union was a profound transgression, a breach of divine order that blurred the lines between heaven and earth. The offspring of these unions were giants, mighty in stature, reaching heights unimaginable and voracious in nature. They consumed all that humanity toiled for, devastated fields, flocks, and even men themselves. Their ravenous hunger turned neighbor against neighbor, creating a world marked by chaos, violence, and bloodshed. But the giants' physical presence was only one part of the corruption unleashed upon the world. The fallen angels imparted forbidden knowledge, dark arts, and secret wisdom that corrupted souls and abetted the spread of evil. Azazel, a chief among them, taught mankind the crafting of weapons, the art of metalworking, and the use of ornaments and cosmetics that stirred vanity and pride. Other angels revealed the secrets of spells, root cutting, astrology, and the signs of sun and moon,
unlocking celestial mysteries for mortal hands, but at great cost. This knowledge led to an explosion of godlessness.
Men were led astray, engaging in fornication, deceit, and violence. The earth was soaked with innocent blood, its cries rising like a bitter incense to the heavens. The balance of creation was disrupted, causing the natural order to groan under the weight of spiritual and physical corruption. In response, the archangels stood before God, their voices heavy with sorrow and urgency. They pleaded for divine intervention, pleading against the darkness spread by Azazel and the others. God commanded swift and severe judgment. Azazel was bound hand and foot, cast into darkness in a wilderness pit. The other Watchers were imprisoned in deep valleys for 70 generations. Their offspring, the giants, turned against one another in warfare, their spirits destined to roam the earth as evil forces sowing ruin among mankind. Yet within this judgment, there is a seed of mercy. Noah is warned of the coming flood, tasked with preserving the seeds of life amidst the cleansing waters. The earth, though corrupted, is given a chance to heal, to be restored to its original purpose. This divine decree carries hope that righteousness will ultimately prevail and the cycle of destruction will give way to renewal. Enoch's account closes with vivid descriptions of heavenly order, the foundations of the earth, and the portals of heaven from which winds and stars emerge in perfect harmony. These images testify to the vast wisdom behind creation's design, reminding us that despite chaos, there is an unbreakable order sustained by the Most High. The story of the fallen angels and their children challenges us deeply. It calls us to consider the dangers of crossing sacred boundaries, the consequences of rebellion, and the persistent hope for redemption. It reminds every generation of the weight of knowledge, the price of sin, and the mercy that still waits for those who turn back to the light. This ancient narrative, though filled with shadow, is ultimately an invitation to embrace truth, seek justice, and walk humbly in the unfolding story of creation. Like, subscribe, and share your reflections with Bible stories, joining a community seeking to uncover the mysteries hidden in these sacred pages. The journey of Enoch continues in every soul, willing to stand between shadow and light, between judgment and mercy, and to find the path that leads home.